Sarah. It's Sarah's birthday, everybody. We got some time to kill, so why don't we all sing Sarah happy birthday?
Alright.
Alright, ready? 3, you have to do the booster. 2, please don't I realize you monster, you bitch at me all the time about saving my voice, and you're like, oh, sing the whole song as Boomstick. Well, 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday, dear Sarah. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Thanks for coming. Yeah, thanks, Ben.
That's totally
Thanks so much. No, that's the thing is I'm a very loud and enthusiastic person, and so I talk a lot, and then when you have to go voice things, especially a character that sounds like Boomstick does, it's really easy to destroy your voice. And it's,
This guy is so loud.
I know. I try not
Here
to
from
be.
the other side of the Rooster building. That's a good building. Yeah.
Anyway,
How's Torian?
yeah, there's another. Whenever Torian walks in, everyone should applaud him. I just want to make him feel bad for not being here.
Start off slow. Get fast.
Actually, hey, real quick, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna record a video real quick, and I would like everyone, I'm gonna do 3, 2, 1, and everyone yell, hey Torian, where are you? And I'm gonna send it to him. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Hey Torian, how are you? Thank you.
Watch him walk in right.
Dude, if he was right outside, I guarantee you just turn and walk away. Send that to Van for a second, Ben.
Alright, well we're gonna get this started. Hopefully all of you know who we are. If not, that's cool too. We're the Death Rattle Guys, Wiz and Boomstick. We pit characters that you love against each other in a fight so that one of them dies horribly and then you get mad about it. So we're doing, we have an upcoming death battle between Samurai Jack and Afro Samurai. Next week. There's next week.
I was about to say that. I didn't even know
This is Torian, our 3D animator.
that. The sexy moves.
Because that person is sexy.
Animation is sexy.
Yes.
Ooh. See, although he did not animate Jack vs. Afro.
I'm still sexy.
I mean, look at those ears.
Yes.
What's the bells?
Yes.
Oh god.
Which you thought were cat ears, but apparently they're actually reindeer ears.
Don't do this to me. They're reindeer ears.
Alright, I don't know. Torian's like having like a moment where he's just trying to reevaluate his life or something, because we got out here and on Thursday he's like, I think I should get some cat ears. And I'm like, okay.
I never heard him say that kind of thing.
I know, right? He's like, this is the place to do it. He's like, but I didn't see any. I'm like, there's no way that they're not in this con. So we went around and he found those. And the second he bought those, he goes and sees another stall. He's like, oh man, I should have got those ones. So then like, the next day, he's like, I think I'm gonna buy more ears. Which he did. He bought these gray ones, but apparently they didn't stack up either. I don't know what's going on with you, but like, what's your next step? Are you buying more ears? Are you gonna get a tail? Like, again, we're talking, it's like an anamorph situation going on.
You guys have me kind of dressed up. I want to be a part, but I don't want to commit. You guys are like I could just take off my ears. You guys gotta get completely undressed and then dressed again.
And they don't even need to go to the bathroom.
Right.
We got this huge
No.
setup to take off. It takes like 30 minutes.
Yeah. I want to go to the
Just to put it
bathroom.
back on 5 minutes later.
I just go to the bathroom. It's fine.
Anyway.
No, but real quick, speaking of costumes, this is, you can do whatever we want in this our film. Six Flags guy over here is great.
Yes.
Six Flags.
Oh, yes.
That boss.
Let me tell you about the experience I had earlier. So we ordered a pizza this week, and so I walked into the hotel room, and I just see people laughing and looking up. And, at the Embassy Suite, there's a glass wall on the elevator, and this dude is just getting it. Just in the elevator, by himself, going down, and just like everyone.
Oh my god, I wish I could have seen that.
It was great. That's amazing.
Sounds like an actual Six Flags. Times commercial.
It pretty much was. So I hope they're paying you.
That's for us.
All right, just please dance your way out when it's time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out to the Death Battle panel. We usually we have this kind of dumb tradition, but we always start everything off by saying it's time for a Death Battle panel in your best boomstick voice.
Yes.
Which you've already practiced.
Yes, which we practiced earlier. Saying Sarah a wonderful happy birthday. And so I'm going to do 3, 2, 1. We're going to it's time for a Death Battle panel. All right. 3, 2, 1. It's time for a Death Battle! And now it's officially started. Everything we said before, you can't hold against us. Here he goes again.
What?
Just do it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just said it to a microphone.
They have no idea what this is.
A boomstick.
The problem with me trying to do it is that it makes me laugh. Me trying to imitate you makes me laugh.
Especially when I look at him real serious.
Yeah. So, the thing about Sephiroth is that his sword is 7 feet closed. Wiz, who made his sword?
He gets progressively higher as he does. Anyway, real quick,
It's
couple.
Boomstick's long lost sister.
Exactly.
Hey!
All
Hey!
right, there you go.
I've been so entertained by how much it entertains me.
If we ever bring a sister in for boomstick, you now have a role.
Oh wait, that is a good Mama Boomstick.
There we go. So a couple things to get over real quick. Just so you guys know, after this, it's not on the schedule, but there's an overflow room. It's right on the other side of that wall there. We're happy to hang out afterwards, do autographs, take pictures, hang out with you guys, all that stuff. So feel free to join us over there after the panel. We're going to do some Q&A, and then also we have a little sneak peek of the Afro Samurai versus Samurai Jack fight to show you guys. And then, if you haven't heard, tomorrow we have a panel in a really big room. I don't know what it's called because
Ballroom B and C, I believe.
There we go. Thank you.
Right around the corner here.
Special event.
And tomorrow we will actually be premiering the new episode to all of you guys before anyone else gets to see it. 2 p.m. tomorrow. Come hang out with it.
But that panel won't be quite like this, where we're in a small room and able to see all you guys and chat with you. So let's do an intimate panel.
Yeah.
All right.
I better get my popcorn and snacks.
So for the Q&A portion, one thing we like to do, instead of just like having people raise their hands and trying to figure out how that works, hold up something interesting, something that we can call out. So like a hat, a shoe, a cardboard box. That guy was so quick on it.
He is first.
You get the first one. You get the cardboard box.
Well, I've noticed you guys have a lot of Death Battle anime characters, but the one thing I've never seen is Gundam. And I'm wondering, you guys just avoid Mets most of the time outside of story screen, or is it just that?
Who wants to break his heart?
Who wants to break his heart?
Yeah, he says he's never done a Gundam.
Okay.
See, every episode I
We already did a Gundam. Epion versus.
Oh yeah, we did.
I was looking for you to correct me.
Well, we did Epion versus Tigerzord way back in the day. We haven't brought Gundam back. I think the main thing is I want to make sure that we do a good like 3D Gundam fight if we're ever able to do it. Also, there's like a lot of Gundam matchups that seem like one-sided one way or another that I don't know if people would really want us to do. I don't know. It's definitely worth exploring. I'm sure we'll do Gundam at some point.
There's really weird height differentials with giant robots. We've learned. It's like, oh, let's put a Gundam against. Oh, holy hell! Like one's like this big and one's like right here. So that's been one thing that's interesting. But we definitely talked about it, and maybe you'll see something in the future. Yes, there's also Megazord and Voltron, but I mean, it was kind of specific. All right, hold up some interesting stuff.
I'm gonna choose. Yeah, one right here.
Yo, bro, that's what's up. So, just, you know, I'm obviously, I know the submitting the Death Battle thing. I've actually submitted this one before, but
I told myself if I ever got to ask you a question, it would be this. My older brother and me used to have this big argument between our two favorite Marvel and DC characters, which is the Punisher versus Jason Todd, Red Hood. Who do you think would win? My argument is Jason Todd would win because Punisher loses to like anybody with actual martial arts training, and Jason Todd was trained by Batman and has actually fought Batman before Batman was holding back and has beaten Batman at Batman's prime.
I love that your question was just like pitching us a script.
I know.
And there we go, guys.
Well, my older brother used to, I'm the younger brother, my older brother used to beat me up all the time, and I got to hear about how the Punisher was the greatest, and he hates you guys because you killed Boba Fett. And I love you guys because you killed Boba Fett with science.
Well, then we automatically side with you.
Yeah. So whatever
Punisher loses. It's official.
Yeah, there you go. Take that, Frank Castle. Oh, cool. One thing I do want to throw out, and don't feel bad, it's okay, because we didn't say this ahead of time. Just to get to everybody's questions, let's try not to do suggestions. We have a suggestion forum on every single video that we post on YouTube. We go through it constantly. So that is honestly the best way to pitch us suggestions. And so, you know, these experiences, you can do that anytime, but here we can answer questions one-on-one. So
can I suggest the same battle?
literally just say don't do suggestions.
On the website, on the
You can always go, you can do it right now from your phone, you can click that link, and you can put it in there.
It's linked underneath every single YouTube video of ours. And actually, this season that we've been doing in Death Battles, every single episode, except for maybe like 2, are from that list, from the top 10% requests from that list. So, please watch, because everybody requests these episodes. And no, don't feel bad.
Again, don't do that.
But not only did you have a pitch for a matchup, you do it exactly how you wanted it to go and why. That's
plus your brother's a dick, so whatever.
100%, like my brother is the worst. When you use your child as bribery, you're pretty much garbage. When you're like, this is my child, give me money so you can see
Also,
it.
I just noticed you donated blood this weekend, too. Look at you. I like you more.
That's the
I
guy over
actually
here.
donated over like 5 gallons. It's actually caused nerve damage in my arm.
Okay, slow down.
It wasn't at once. I've been donating since I was like 16.
Gotcha.
You're a good guy. You don't have to be that good.
Yeah, like you can bring it back. You stop trying to compensate for your brother's dickedness.
Shit on that guy's brother.
I think we made like a good 30% of the panels been about these two. It's great.
It's great.
All right, let's do another question. Ben?
Hockey stick over there.
Are you guys still getting backlash over the Goku and Superman?
Dude, we get backlash over every episode forever. Like, it never stops.
I go to McDonald's, I'm like, can I get a number 1? He's like, Goku should have won that. I'm just hungry.
But every so often I'll get like a tweet or whatever that's like, dude, Akuma shouldn't have beaten Shang Tsung. And I'm like, wait, did we do that episode? Oh yeah, episode 2 back.
Yeah, it's our second one. It's really like calmed down. That was definitely the worst.
Yeah, that was the one we got a lot of death threats over.
No, I know, that's right. Usually like, why would someone care that much about a fictional character in a fictional show? But they really do. We got death threats on us, our family, somebody punched Ben in the con once. No, that's serious. They hit him and yelled, that was for Goku.
Yeah. It was really interesting explaining Death Battle to a police officer. One of the most awkward moments of my life.
He's like taking your statement. He's like, okay, so we get this straight. That much, Drew. What did he yell again? He said, this is for Goku. Okay, who's Goku? and then the cop's partner's kind of like slightly young. He's like, you know Goku from Dragon Ball.
And then that guy popped up and punched the cop and was like, you don't know Goku? Anyway, it's really calmed down. That's the thing about the show. The nature of the show, when we, instead of just leaving it to vote or whatever, and we are actually doing the research and determining who would win, it's always going to piss people off to some degree, because you always have that hope. You've got that horse in the race that you want to see win. And it happens to us too. There's been so many times when we want a character, we're like, oh, like, I really like this character way more than this other one, and then you do the research and you're like, oh, but she's going to die. And then we have to do it. But yeah, so hopefully everyone can take it with grace of salt and just be a little bit rational and not kill us. That would be great. Please don't kill us.
It's been better lately. I mean, I feel like it comes in phases where like somebody will just rile up a bunch of people, Yeah, everybody gets mad, and then it just kind of died down because they realized it's just kind of a waste of time. And then you just have fun watching the show.
All right, let's see chicken head up there.
What's the favorite death battle you worked on?
Our favorite death battle we've ever worked on.
Ryu versus Jin?
So, no, pretty good. One of my favorites. So Star Screamers Rainbow Dash is one of my nice favorites, just because it's insane. And it's like, it is the thing that like we say like Death Battle is what makes Death Battle so fun. But
it was the first time it felt like we were like making an impact on the internet, like and surprising people and really going into depth into something that people hadn't really done before, which was really cool. But ever since then, we've had a lot of really fun episodes. I know you always bring up He-Man versus Lion-O, because that one was just fun to research and like debate about, because both characters are just stupid ridiculous.
And like I'm a huge Thundercats and He-Man fan, so it's been, and so like us just getting to like really dive into all of those campy ass episodes. And every day we would come back to the office, like I'm like powering through He-Man, he's powering through Thundercats. I'm like, oh, well, He-Man can do this. He's like, oh yeah. Well, Lion-O can do this. He's like, Lion-O went to the center of the earth. And then like literally the next day I was like, oh, well I just watched an episode where He-Man ripped a stalactite off like the roof of this cave and then just somehow jumped upside down and spun really fast to the core of the earth to bring up lava. We had so much fun researching that fight, and then also like just because of the nature of the characters and how campy they are, like getting to write that episode, that fight script, it was really like we got to write this little campy unofficial crossover episode, and it was super fun to work on.
That's one of my favorite fights from the early seasons.
Yeah, me too.
What about you, Tori? What was your favorite animation to work on? Just to have fun with?
I like the Power Rangers versus Voltron one. That was really cool. Really fun. You pretty much got one robot that's just a bunch of boxes. And you have like this sleek space god robot that's zooming around and stuff. And it was pretty cool trying to bring them to, similar levels so the fight can be entertaining and not like super one-sided. And like Megazord's like super big, so that was pretty awesome. And you got all the cool cuts. It was kind of like making a Power Rangers episode. We got all the cool cuts of them reacting. And I like made one and then kept reusing the one reaction. Cool. And it's like our prettiest fight. One of our prettiest fights.
Fun side story for all of you guys here. Hey, Torian, how are those original models we had created for the Megazord?
Oh, they're bad. They're really bad. I don't even. Why would you do that to me? I'm perfect. Why would you bring up a bad thing?
We actually, so Megazord vs. Voltron is probably the most expensive episode.
It really is. It probably is the most expensive one.
Real quick before we continue, I see a couple people still holding objects up and stuff, and they're gonna get their arms tired. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and sit down and keep your arms down so that everybody can see past you. We will still get to you.
It's not an endurance thing.
Yeah.
It's time for a question. We'll pick something at random. But no, so Megazord vs. Voltron. So like, we knew we wanted to do this fight forever. Like Ben and I talked about doing Power Rangers vs. Voltron.
Like in the middle of season 1, I was like, yo, we gotta do this. And we didn't even have a 3D animator at the time. We're like, how the hell are we gonna do this? And then somebody started making custom sprites for it. And I think I got like one message that was like, hey, if you ever do this matchup, I'm making custom sprites for it. I'm like, cool.
Yeah,
that would be great. Let me know how it goes. And I never heard from him again.
No. It was like a year and a half later, you got one update. It was like, still plugging away, and we're like, damn, I don't know if this is gonna happen.
But it was like, it just, that's right, the first update when they mentioned it, they had like one post, and the second update was like, I got another one. Out of all the posts, all like 1,000 you're gonna need. I was like, okay, like it looks cool, but this might not work out. Plus, I really wanted, once we got 3D animation going on, it felt like that's how
it needed to be, yeah. But the first person we contracted to do the models, they were interesting.
Not good. Not good. But luckily, I am. So, it all worked out.
Also, shout out to, we had an intern at the time who now works for Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
Her name is Reed.
Yeah.
She did the Megazord model. It is incredible. I actually still had the original Megazord toy from my childhood, and I gave it to her so she could use it because you could like fully like take everything apart. And she used that to build the Megazord model that we used.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, but it was a lot.
Alright, I don't even remember how that question started. Like, what the question was. That's right. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, next question.
Now you can hold stuff up.
Yes. How about you in orange shirt?
Hi, I'm Pirate Goku.
What?
And
and I did send in a request on your page, and basically, is it possible that this particular thing I sent in was Thanos versus Darkseid, and will that be your season finale? Because of two gods of destruction facing each other, Thanos and Darkseid.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, look at me, I can game the system. I'll turn a suggestion into a question.
I like your modesty.
Thanos versus Darkseid is probably our #1 suggestion.
I gotta say, it's a hot topic.
At the moment.
yeah, ever since Infinity War came out, it's been really highly requested. So, if that does show up, I would not be surprised. So I'm not gonna tell you because we can't spoil it, sorry.
I'll be telling you if it does. It's you. You showed up, you tricked Chad into a suggestion, question, all you.
Pirate Goku.
Alright,
Hashtag.
thank you.
Pirate Goku hashtag, that's the way you just piece out of this? I wish I could. Hold on. That was for
You got Chad to destroy equipment for you.
Alright, let's hold some stuff up and see. Are you holding a shoe? Real quick though. Is that your shoe?
Not my show.
It should be.
Whose shoe is it? Whose shoe is that? Hi. Thank you for helping him get this question. Alright, go for it.
So, Torian, are you going to watch Lord of the Rings?
When am I gonna watch Lord of the Rings? What kind of question is that? I'm never gonna watch it. I'm never gonna watch it. Dude, I'm never gonna watch it.
I would love.
I watched the one with the 2 towers.
Hey, wait, real quick. Oh, did you fucking hear that? Sorry, I forgot it was PG-13. We get one PG-13. Real quick, repeat the words you just said.
I'm never gonna
No,
watch
he
it.
just said, I watched the
I watched the
one.
one with the 2 towers.
You watched
And then he said, what was that one called?
Now that I'm hearing you say it, I realized my mistake.
Oh, yeah?
What was it called?
It was a.
Lord of the Rings and the 2 towers? With the 2 towers? From the 2 towers. To the 2 towers? We built the 2 towers? 9/11 was a lie? I don't understand. What's it called?
It was called Return of the
We live in the 2
Jedi.
towers? We'll fight the 2 towers. Is the 2 towers Sauron?
It was called Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I who's Sauron? You guys don't like that?
Oh my god.
All right.
Why are you throwing so many unnecessary prepositions into this?
You're fired.
To answer your question, no, I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna fight.
I would actually love to do like a live stream commentary, having him go through the Harry Potter movies and Lord of the movies. If you guys don't know, if you're wondering where this is coming from, we do a podcast called Death Cast, and like, it is amazing the way Torian stores information when he's watching the film, and also like just like general he's really into nerdy stuff. He loves anime. And all that stuff. We all do. But like,
But I don't know where to get them. I don't know where they came from.
But he's seen like one Lord of the Rings movie, the one with the 2 towers,
Right,
whatever it could be called. And then his
One Harry Potter movie, the one with the snake.
Oh, the snake.
One
Yeah.
with the snake.
the one with the
The one with the snake when Mary was like a little boy.
Okay, so the first
you
There you go.
they all have snakes. And then I said, oh, you mean the one with the basilisk? He goes, what's that? Anyway, it's great. And we would love to actually, I'd love to do a live stream. We should watch this again. Thank you. Hey, quick, really fast. Anybody who watches Cast will get this. Hey, Torian, what's the name of the dwarf in Lord of the Rings?
The dwarf in Lord of the Rings? The 2 towers, right? Is he in that one?
He's in all of them.
Okay, well you couldn't just say yes!
Well, the question is, what's his name?
Oh man. Gimli?
Yes!
I'm pretty awesome.
So, I think this is the first time you didn't call him Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna say
He still doesn't
Gandalf.
understand the concept of houses in Harry Potter.
What do you mean? They're like classes.
They're not like classes.
This is a school. school. They go to class. Do they not go to class?
Yes, they go to class.
Okay. Why are you all like drunk like I'm wrong? They go to class. They go to class and they learn magic.
But they are sorted into different houses.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about this like if you're gonna be a good guy or a bad guy. That's the house. Are you gonna be like a shitty person? Right. The whole thing is about like Henry fighting against his destiny, right? Yeah, that's great. Welcome to
Listen to the drones.
Harry Potter.
Also, we're Brooke Space.
I'm so disappointed.
Oh, well, Brooke, you know what you got into when you decided to be friends.
We could go on with the whole panel on about touring. We're just gonna move on to the next thing. Somebody
Can we pick my hero bird guy back there?
All right. Only question I really got is, what exactly led you to redo the Goku versus Superman, and would you ever reconsider doing rematches of your more outdated Death battles?
Good question.
So Goku vs. Superman 2 was less, the way it was initially put together, or when Craig came to me about it was less about a rematch and more about how, for Goku vs. Superman 1, the original script, not the fight, just the Wiz and Boomstick like discussion, was 50 minutes long. It was super long, so we had to cut quite a bit out to make it into a half-hour long show on YouTube. So for Goku vs. Superman 2, the initial idea was we're just going to basically make it an extended part where we're going to include all the stuff that we cut out. And then Super Saiyan God came out, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan came out, and well, it would be kind of weird if we didn't talk about those two, so we're going to bring those in the fight, and then it kind of grew from there.
Yeah, we had so many people who was like, well, but now, oh man, come on. Like, and so, all right, like, we'll take a look at it. We just, honestly, you know, most of our fights that we do are based on suggestions, and people really wanted to see if, you know, Goku getting these new forms and things would allow him to be able to beat Superman. So, we decided to dig into it. And also, like, when we did dig into it, and, you know, we saw what the outcome would be, we're like, okay, well, since we know that it's going to be Superman, spoilers, we're like, we can hopefully use this, since we did have to cut so much out of the first script, hopefully we use the second one to even more clearly illustrate why Superman beats Goku. And again, I'm a huge fan of Goku. Like, I'm more of a fan of Goku than I'm Superman. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But that's just the way it goes. But so, I mean, it's Goku. Like, for so many people, like, you know, he is this character that introduced them to anime, his whole like way of life, and such a cool series that, you know, watching him be murdered is great.
In terms of like remaking old episodes, Death Battle has changed quite a bit since the early days, and a lot of new content has come out for some of these characters that we, you know, used in the first like 2 seasons or so. So I would not be opposed to maybe re-exploring those.
Yeah, we did Samus
both.
Yeah, that was kind of, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of new stuff.
Sure.
And that was still, I believe, season 2. Like, we hadn't really, like, the rules are different now slightly in terms of, like, how we determine which sources we use and things like that. So, I don't know, maybe it would be cool to re-examine one of those with, like, different rules and new, like, content that's come out since then. Death Battle's been out for, like, 8 years now, so there's plenty of new stuff with some of the characters.
Yeah,
But
and also,
we'll see.
we definitely talked about doing, like, just remastered episodes. We know, like, fights are, like, you know, 50% of the fun, and going back and being able to like turn over a fight like that to Torian or Luis or some of our animators and let them like kind of bring it into 2018 would be really cool. So it's something we definitely talked about. It's just we're like, it takes so much time to do a death battle that like we are slammed, right? And so, you know, whenever we get to the point where we can have like a little bit of breathing room, maybe we'll be able to do some stuff like that. But there's so many people that are waiting for their fight because they've always wanted to see it be done. So if we designate some of our team to do that, we always feel like, you know, we really want to, but also like there's so many people who want to see their fight happen. So
that's why we have that suggestion form, because yeah, the most important thing to us is getting the matchups and the characters that you guys want to see. So if we got to spend a lot of time away from that remastering something, it might not be worth it.
All right, hands up. Did you pick the last one then?
Oh, you're up. So I'm up. Let's do this. Is that a torch right here?
It's the staff.
Staff. Torch. You can make it into a torch.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like it's made out of dark. This is a question for Wiz and Boomstick. Out of all the research you've had to do and all the weapons you've looked at, which ones are your favorite, and/or which, if you could only pick one of them, which ones would you take?
Like to use ourselves?
Why not?
Or as the characters Wiz and Boomstick?
As the
Or as
character.
Okay, so
Either
what
or both.
weapons would Wiz and Boomstick, out of everything we've ever researched, what is the weapon that they would want?
Answer.
Lightsaber. BFG.
BFG was one of the first things I went to with Boomstick.
Yeah, I was gonna say BFG, but if this is for Wiz, I don't think Wiz would say BFG.
No, Boomstick would.
Portal gun.
Shoot, whenever we get a question that's like, of all the episodes you've made, I go, crap, I don't remember half the episodes. I gotta pull the list.
Long time.
We've made 96, I think, Afro over Samurai's episode 96.
Oh shit. From Ratchet and Clank's Arsenal. What's the thing that fires off all the missiles to the Rhino? Yeah, the Rhino.
Rhino
Yeah,
5.
Boomstick's all about that. Like it's dinner and a show. Like it's great.
That sounds like Boomstick style.
What? And if it were melee weapon, it would probably be Dragon Slayer from Berserk.
Nice.
Boomstick lives that.
Hell yeah! One-handed.
Who's gonna dig that crossbow hand that he's got?
Yeah.
I think he'd be really into that. Just like innovating technology without technology or whatever.
Especially when you're missing a hand.
Yeah. Yeah, Wiz already is missing a hand. Yeah. So it works. I guess that's my pick. I don't know.
Alright, let's see. Why are you holding a picture of Sam?
You said something interesting.
Bro.
Yeah, that's not that.
It's a glamour shot, it's terrifying, and interesting.
Okay.
Let's hear your question.
So, y'all have been around for over a decade now.
Which made us feel old. Thank you.
Just here to tell us.
Go on.
Yes, go on. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. It's so entertaining with me.
It's endearing. So, why do you do what you do?
Why do we do what we do?
Yeah.
For the money.
There's so much of it. It's raining down on us. There's so much of it. All this money under here. Beef.
If you want to get money, YouTube's not really the place to get it. Nope, I'm just gonna say that.
No, so it's probably a little bit of a different answer for each of us, but
For the ladies.
for the ladies.
What is it? I don't need a show for that.
Oh, that's.
Look at me with my cat ears and sunglasses.
Yo, what up, girl? I killed Goku.
Oh, that might.
I don't know if
Go away.
I don't know if that's gonna set the tone. No, it's probably gonna be a little bit of a different answer for each of us, but man, it's so cool, like getting to do this job and getting to express our creativity, even more than just Death Battle, just working for ScrewAttack in general, and the different shows that we do. I started working in this company doing merchandise, because I had a background in online merchandise, and then Ben was like, hey, we need somebody to just like be on, just do some dumb thing on camera. I was like, okay, you know, so I did a couple of those, for like Silver of the Week and skits and stuff, and then, you know, they were like, oh, hey, you're kind of funny, you can act, and I was like, I've never done this before, but then I really fell in love with it. And I really wish that I could like have a time machine and go back and be like high school me, like don't spend literally like every second of your life skating, do that was great, but like also like go do like drama and learn, like go through that stuff, because I absolutely love acting and I love voice acting. And so the fact that my job is getting to work with a bunch of creative people and be creative and create things that entertain people, that gives them enjoyment, and it's the most like fulfilling and just cool experience, and I'm so appreciative of that, and I'm appreciative to every single one of you for watching our stuff and enabling us to do this. We'll sometimes get like a message from somebody that will be like, hey man, like I was at like a really rough part of my life, and like I've had people literally tell me like they were like on the verge of suicide, but then like watching our content, like literally was like the light in the darkness for them, and that's insane. Like I've never like thought about that, the fact that like just because of us getting to do what we do like has that impact on people, it's just the most humbling and incredible feeling in the world, so it's super awesome.
I mean, you said we were gonna have different answers, but I ditto that. Ditto all that. Like, I don't even know if I can say it better. Like, that was great.
Thanks, buddy.
Cool. I think just really quick, I do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I know like lately, like I've kind of took on this I'm awesome persona and not humble at all. But like kind of lately, you were right, you were right. I've always been awesome. You're right. Anyway, no, it's just super fun. Like it's super fun to like hang out with you guys. It's super fun to make fights. It's super fun to answer questions, like all of them. So it's super fun. Why don't we do this? Yeah.
Alright, who's up?
We're gonna give Goku some justice and pick the Goku bigger over here.
So why did you guys start that battle?
Why did we start? I don't know. Spend all you go.
Money.
Also for the money. No, well, it kind of just fell on me in a way, because I was with ScrewAttack I joined ScrewAttack in like 2008 or whatever, and was with them doing skits and stuff like that. Chad had already kind of come on board, and you were doing merchandise at the time, right? Yeah. And I had finished up a skit show that was based on my previous skit show, and needed to come up with a new pitch. And because when you're working in an industry like this, you got to be constantly turning out new ideas. Otherwise, you're just out of a job. Like they kick you out, you're done. So
It wasn't quite that hard.
it's not quite like that. But like if I just said I don't have an idea for a show, like what? Then I just wouldn't have a job.
Right.
So I was kind of like trying to figure out what could take ScrewAttack to the next level. Because at the time, ScrewAttack, we had made kind of an impact among a small gamer community, but like the majority of our videos would get at most like 30,000 views, 20,000 views.
Except for game trailers. Game trailers would do great.
Game trailers would do great, but like that was, there was an issue where like game trailers, the videos we put on game trailers would do awesome, but wouldn't necessarily send people to ScrewAttack.
Right.
And I wanted to make something that would really put ScrewAttack in the spotlight and give all of us the opportunity to grow and make more stuff. So I stumbled upon Monty Owen's Haloid video where he had Master Chief fighting Samus. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting, seeing two characters who normally never fight duke it out. I wonder who would actually win in the fight. Because at the end of Haloid, they just kind of strip and have a dance. Yeah. It's not quite the vibe I was going for with that battle, but you know.
So you saw a bunch of comments too, like people were debating.
Right, in the comments of that video, I think that wasn't game trailers, was a link to a forum where people were very passionately debating Goku versus Superman. And that's when it kind of clicked on me, like, I could figure out who would win between Goku versus Superman. I think I'm smart. Try. And it's kind of went from there.
No other versus shows were doing that. Any other versus shows, like there was all these forum debates, but nobody was like actually sitting down and determining who would win. It was like, we'll talk about it, and then we'll leave it up to a vote. And I was like, no.
It wasn't
I
even
want
like
to figure it out.
Like versus matches, like sprite fights and little animated fights have been a thing on Newgrounds, like early internet days, but it kind of died off. It wasn't really a popular thing. It transitioned to YouTube in any way, because YouTube hates animators for some reason. But the only Versus show that was out there that I could find was Machinima was doing a show literally called Versus, where it was just two guys looking at the camera going, yeah, Goku's pretty cool, Superman's pretty cool. Who do you think would win? Okay, see ya. Yeah. That was it. So I wanted to do next level. And that's it.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Got a boxing glove back there. Let's see now. What's up, little man?
So out of the three of you, who would win in a death battle?
Me.
See, they would fight each other, and I just kind of hang out in the back, and they kill each other, and I win.
Like Leo.
And there you have it. All right. Next question. See you, Torian.
Let's even it up a little bit. Let's go to this side of the room and pick a keyblade here.
Okay, my question is for both Ben and Chad. What were your inspiration for creating Wiz and Boomstick?
So the creation of Wiz and Boomstick, how they came about.
Man, okay, so whenever people who have characters get asked this question, they always have like some big story where they're like, well, I thought about it for 3 months, and I was watching these other shows, and I picked this character. Really, Wiz and Boomstick just kind of happened. Boomstick specifically, we really wanted a weapons expert, hence the name Boomstick.
Ben literally went to me and was like, hey, you do silly voices. You want to be the other host?
What's the silliest voice you can do that could also be somewhat taken serious?
It's like, we want to do a weapons expert, and so at first we both were like, really hardcore, really death. Like, it sounded like that. Like, it was...
Well, that sounded like this.
Yes.
Yeah, if you go to early death metal episodes, both Wiz and Boomstick are like very growly and stuff, and they both sound like they might as well just be the same person. A lot of people thought they were the same person.
Yeah.
So we changed that pretty quickly. Wiz very quickly became less hardcore, edgy, in the blood and guts and stuff, and more into the science thing. Because we always came out of characters as one has to be into science, one into weapons, and that way they can bounce opinions off each other and stuff like that, and cover different topics. But Wiz never really got, it took a long time for me to kind of like find the vibe for Wiz, and it just sort of happened based on whatever Boomstick was doing. So whenever Boomstick would like have a joke or whatever that would derail the conversation, Wiz would have to develop it into a character that could like bring it back and discuss whatever Boomstick didn't know. And eventually it kind of turned Wiz into the science, like the semi-mad scientist that he is today. So it was a long-term process.
Yeah,
but
the comedy is always great down the street, man. Like, that's the thing too, is like a lot of times like they're a wacky, silly character, gets a lot of recognition, but like, you only have that because you have like a good straight man next to you.
It's like when I first started death metal, I didn't imagine the characters of Wiz and Boomstick like becoming a thing.
Being an odd couple like we are?
Yeah. Well, at first I was just like, they're the hosts. Like, people are going to come to this for the characters who are fighting. They're not necessarily going to come to it for Wiz and Boomstick. Right?
I did.
But, well, nowadays people do, and that's awesome. So we develop the characters so much more, especially if you go to the previews for it.
We have so much fun in the previews. Like, we just make shit up. Like, so much of the preview stuff, like, is just us winging it in the booth. It's great. And in terms of creating Boomstick, you know, like, so we knew we wanted like a weapons expert, and when I was coming up with a voice specifically, I was like, I don't know, it'd be fun. Like, I really like doing silly voices, so I was like, I kind of wanted to be, since it's weapons, like, I kind of wanted to be like a little southern, and so like it's a little bit from like Adam Baldwin, a little bit from Sarge, from Red vs. Blue, and a couple things, which is crazy because like it is the most insane experience that like I was watching Red vs. Blue when I was a teenager, and now we work for Rooster Teeth. And
Boomstick has met Sarge.
And Boomstick has actually met Sarge in Red vs. Blue canon. We got to write an episode of Red vs. Blue, and I went to Matt and was like, hey, I kind of want to make Boomstick Sarge's son. I confirmed, and he laughed, and he was like, that would be really funny. And so we alluded to it in our episode, and I'm really trying to get Boomstick back into the Red vs. Blue universe for some other stuff. It's really fun. But those are kind of like my inspirations, where that's where this came from.
My turn. Right here.
Besides Goku versus Superman and Ichigo versus Naruto, what are the other top two that people like gave you crap about or complained about?
Starscream versus Rainbow Dash.
And Kirby versus Majin Buu. Kirby is effing ridiculous. And everyone's like, oh, it's Kirby's little cute puffball. How dare you? He threw a like giant centipede thing on a frying pan around the sun and perfectly cooked it, and God came back to him. And they're still so mad. So many people took that as like, especially after like the Goku thing, like it was us being like, yeah, F Dragon Ball, salt in the ground. And like we're all fans of Dragon Ball. Like, and so like, that one gets so much hate. They really treated that like we were just trying to slag the Dragon Ball community, and we weren't at all.
That one wasn't even supposed to be Majin Buu at first. It was supposed to be Kirby versus Ditto. And then we figured out how powerful Kirby was, and we were like, oh, what's Ditto gonna do?
We were like, Ditto's gonna get banged even more than usual.
Yeah, those are definitely the other thing.
What about Tifa and Yang?
Yang versus Dita? Oh man, so
That was great.
It was great.
that was a fun episode to work on, and that's the cool thing too about like working with Rooster Teeth. Because like with the nature of our show,
That was before we were. You might be getting it mixed up with the Red vs. Blue one.
I know we did the Red vs. Blue.
We were in contact with them. We did know that.
We did. He's throwing a model for Yang and all this
Yes.
stuff. Anyway, it was really cool because they were like super open to everything, and it was like, you know, from the very get-go, like the whole nature of our show is that we have full creative control, and we will do the research, and the research will determine who will win. And so Rooster always been really cool with that. Like when we did Carolina versus Meta, and also using Yang, you know, they knew going into it that they could have no sway on what we did. And that was just a really fun episode to work on because we had a relationship with them, we actually got to get Bar to voice Yang. And then she came, we used to think about Death Bell Live, where we would do a little like live show ahead of time, and then we would premiere the episode. So she came out, and we got to do that. And we had Tia Ballard.
Tia Ballard was Tifa.
And so it was really cool doing that stuff, and it was great working with them. It was a really fun fight. And Torian had a blast animating. And that's the fight that Torian got his voice acting debut.
Oh yes, I'm the club security guard.
Do you remember your line?
My line is, hold up, let me see some ID. Take that, Chris Savage.
All right, next question.
We do Stitch's face.
So you guys were working with Death Battle for a very long time now, and with all the fans wanting all these different things, has there ever been an episode or a pairing that you started to research, got like so far into research, and just like, this isn't going to be a good episode or something?
Oh yeah.
Well, there was the Ditto one where we ended up screwing over the Dragon Ball fan base unintentionally on Shibu and Kirby.
What was it? Who were we gonna have Aang fight?
It was Aang versus Harry Potter.
That's
Oh no! That was in the original, like, first season plan. I don't even remember where the idea came from. Somebody was talking about, like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool, like the water bending, air bending, and magic, and then like Harry would ride the broom, he would ride Appa, and you know, something like that. And I had watched the first 2 seasons of Avatar. I hadn't watched the 3rd one. I was meant to go back because I remember loving it. And I was like, okay, we'll do that. I'd love to go, you know, have an excuse to go back and finish that series. And so I did. And then I got to the final fight against Fire Lord Ozai, and Aang's just flying around, shooting shit everywhere, water everywhere, rocks everywhere, and thinking, Harry Potter's screwed.
I remember Ben coming into the office and being like, we can't do that fight. Like, Harry will be destroyed. Like, it's not even a competition. So and that's what led us to being like, oh, okay. Well, first we were like, who else could Aang fight? And we were like, oh, Captain Planet.
Well, we changed that to Luke versus Harry.
Yeah, which we started with. And then it led to like, oh, well, then who else could Harry fight? And then it was, oh, Luke Skywalker. That would be cool.
The question of who Aang can fight has come up multiple times across the 8 years we've been doing this. And it seems like the most popular one is Captain Planet.
Yep.
So maybe we'll do that one day.
The problem is Aang can just like throw mud on him and he's screwed. Anyway, we'll see. Welcome to our day today.
Yeah. Alright, Tori, you're up.
I'm gonna choose the 3 little balls in the back over here. What's up?
I guess my question is, like, out of all the matches you guys have done, is there like any like argument that you guys still have, like on your day-to-day of like, oh, this guy should have won, or
No, we don't put it up. The question was if you, is there anything that we still like, one of us is still salty about and thinks the other person should have, essentially. No, I mean, we argue it to death. Like, we don't put it on an episode until like there is nothing left for someone to argue. So,
yeah. I mean, we go through so much information for these characters in such a short amount of time. Like what you see on screen in the video is only a fraction of everything that we've gone through. Because like we go through the entire comic line, the entire TV series line of the character, everything. And we analyze all these other things that turn out to not really be important, but we still had to analyze it to see if it was important in the first place. So while we're doing this, we get so much information crammed in our heads. I've often thought like, you know, you go to like a Dragon Ball YouTuber or like a Pokemon YouTuber where their specialty is just that franchise and they know everything about it because of that. We have to become that YouTuber in the space of like 6 weeks, and then the next 6 weeks we have to become that YouTuber again for another character.
Yeah.
So like being able to retain all that information across 8 years is impossible. So I'm just kind of on a very like case by case basis. I don't really even think about the old episodes, just move on and make some new ones.
But yeah, I mean, we learned that like, we debate it to death until literally no one can come up with a counter argument and everyone's on the same page. Like, okay, you're right. Like, that's why that happens. Ben, your turn.
Yes. Let's do one all the way to the right up here in green shirt.
Oh, me.
Yep. That's you.
That's right, I put this in.
Okay, cool. Death battle. Superman versus Chuck Norris. Actually, all joking aside, my actual question is this. What would you say was the most technically difficult episode you've ever done? From either the fact-finding or the animation, what is the thing that had you most ready to pull out your hair with its difficulty?
Dante versus Bayonetta.
Oh, yeah.
And you did that to yourself.
Whoa!
Yeah, you guys really pulled out the stop sign. That was
Giant monsters.
What if Tristan Jean joined in?
Hey,
okay, Tori.
that was so cool. Yeah, that's awesome. They fell down a building or a clock.
You didn't.
They were in a church. There was chairs everywhere. Great. It was tough, but I slept under a desk. It was great.
Yeah. From like a research perspective, I mean, Hulk versus Doomsday was we put that one off. We talked about doing that in like a previous season, and then we started looking at it. We're like, I don't know how the hell we're gonna turn this one. Like,
Yeah, I remember talking about it before Tori and you came on board. We were doing a sprite fight with it, but like, we did the preliminary research and like, this is gonna be really hard to figure out. We need to have some dedicated time to this episode. We don't have time right now. So we moved it back and back and back.
they were like, we have to do it. And oh my god, the discussion just kept coming up. Every time we thought, they were like, okay, nobody has anything else to bring up? Okay, this person wins. Oh, but what if? Damn it! Like, you know, and like I was really bad about it too. Like we go back and I'm like, I'm still not convinced. What about this? You know, and like we reopened that discussion so many times. That fight was so hard to do. Yeah, that and like versus Club.
Yes, and of course Goku versus Superman. So that just took forever.
It did.
Yeah.
I calculated the weight of humanity. The weight of humanity. Because Ben and I are on a Skype call late at night, still trying to figure out and making sure we have everything right for this episode. And we're trying to get a limit on what Goku's ki is capable of doing from like a physical perspective. And then Ben's like, oh hey, he teleported everyone off of this planet in GT. And I was like, oh cool. I'm gonna go region by region and find out the average weight of adult male and adult female and then child male and child female from every country in the world. And then I'm gonna add that all together, and then we're gonna get like a general census of like how much weight he was able to lift with his ki. And Ryan's I'm like, I got it, it's gonna be, and he goes, oh shit, you know what? He also teleported a bunch of dinosaurs. And I was like, and clear. I don't even remember what that number was. I'm still pissed about that because there's some time I literally counted all the weight of humanity.
He was almost done.
So, all right, we got to wrap up, but let's do one more question.
Right here.
One more question. You want to make out that?
Sure, let's see. All right, let's go to the poster right there.
Yes!
Been up for a while.
No pressure. Last question.
First of all, I really love you guys. You're all beautiful.
See, this is why I picked this question. All right.
I am you.
Go on.
It's a really quick two-parter. One is, what kind of animation program do you use? Do you use 3ds Max or Maya?
I feel so bad for Torian. We made him switch so many times for different processes. He started in Max and then made him switch to Maya. He also has different render software.
Luckily for them, I'm really, really good. I started on Max, and then now we use Maya.
Yes, Maya is so much easier to animate.
Maya is so much easier animated when you have a team of people across the hall that you can throw errors at, and then they will fix them for you.
Render sucks.
Yes. Again, another team across the hall that deals with that. So.
And also, what happened to Boomstick's wife? What happened to ex-wife?
Which one?
What did you do to me?
I'm really uncomfortable with him voicing the next wife.
What do you mean? I've been here the whole time. Where's my alimony?
My God, I'm so envious of your composure. Okay. If I could get double divorced.
You spent so much time with that whiz gun! No wonder you can...
At least he appreciates me.
You deserve to be appreciated! That's why you guys whose enemies on your face, he's cool though. We talk.
I know. And with that, we're going to show you a clip of Afro Samurai versus Samurai Jack.
So yeah, we're showing this tomorrow in the ballroom. Also, applause. Alright, we're going to be showing the full episode tomorrow in the ballroom, ballroom CMB. We have a little preview, just to see guys. If you guys want to check it out tomorrow. Also, we are going to be in the overflow room right next door, right after this, to hang out with you guys, take pictures, sign autographs, things like that. So go ahead and go over there if you want to hang out for a while. And let me play.
I'm going to ask about the Deadpool. You got a white shirt.
Among the soldiers of history, the samurai is one of the most prestigious and dangerous. So let's pit two of the best of them in a fight to the death. Samurai Jack, the warrior prince lost in time.
And Afro Samurai, who's one cold-blooded mother effer. He's passing on boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Your sword smells of blood. So does yours.
Sounds like Sam down there.